works. All the settings on this device are as they should be. Um, I, first of all, we are still here. It's the 24th of September, and yeah, we are still here. Isn't that wonderful? Rapture did not happen. Isn't that amazing? Now, I'm not a Christian, and if you have been following me for a while, I've talked about that before. We do get into, some philosophical topics here, and I posted a not no a post. I wrote a post a couple of days ago about this rapture thing. It was supposed to happen on the 22nd, I think, or 23rd. I can't remember of this month. So yesterday, and anyone with some critical, with the ability to have critical thinking, they will know that this is as about money as it always has been, um, specifically donations. So pay some money to some preacher, and he will make sure that you come, you're beamed up to Jesus or something like that. Um, and there's nothing new about this. This is a very old business. Um, I had a look at the comments to that post, and I was a bit shocked, honestly, because it appears that a lot of people out there, not only do they believe in the rapture, but they're very vocal and aggressive when you're stating the fucking obvious. This is an old myth. Nobody will be beamed up to paradise or heaven or whatever. This is part of Christian mythology. Now, I get it. Religion, it's very emotional to some people. It's part of their identity and all of that. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't state the fucking obvious. In fact, it gives us even more reason to do so. You know, I'm a little bit, when I see things like that, I get a little bit shocked, and then I say to myself, I really shouldn't be shocked. I shouldn't be shocked because, you know, there are lots of people out there, they really believe these old myths, and that's just how it is. And I will never be able to change their mind, or rather open their minds, because they're very narrow minded. So that's just how it's going to be. But I wanted to say a few words about why this happens. Why are some people like that? And why does it seem like actually we're moving in the wrong direction? We're moving backwards with the rise of a form of Christianity that is very dogmatic, that tells you what to think, not to think, if you got that. Um, so I've been, you know, I have some ideas. What's going on here? First of all, I believe that this really is not about Christianity, because lots of Christians do not believe in these old myths. They view them as, first of all, they were written down, um, after having been retold and retold. Many times they were written down in a very different time. And the thing about mythologies is that they are used to explain things and to predict things, to give comfort. And we probably still have myths today. I would say that maybe you know aliens. You know, when I was a kid, we used to say flying saucers, and all of that. That's probably like mythology of the modern age. But we always been like that. We seek to find explanations to the things that we can't explain. So we have myths. Um, and where am I going with this? Well, I think that critical thinking is about not letting your emotions or dogma dictate what you think. And critical thinking is needed now more than ever. By the way, I'm down at the harbor going to check on my boat. So there are some people walking in front of me. Um, but anyway, yeah, critical thinking is needed, and you know, I've always been of the, I've always had the opinion that to practice critical thinking, you also need to absorb knowledge, and you do that by reading first and foremost life experiences and just being curious, asking questions. Now, I said reading first and foremost. I meant these things I just mentioned first and foremost. But I do want to talk about reading and the importance of reading here in this live stream. And I will get to, um, am I looking like a gangster? Well, I have the sun coming in at an angle here, so it's like this. I do want to talk about reading um, because it seems like, now I don't have the numbers on this, but it seems like people who fall into that trap of believing in the dogma and just saying what other people have told them, like for instance a pastor, and they repeat that. It's on repeat. That's not critical thinking. And I believe that if you are a student, and I think we all should be, as we should be students, it should be a lifestyle, not necessarily going to university, but like studying, being curious, and absorbing knowledge. That should be part of our lives, and reading is such an important part of that. So um, I often say that, oh, I don't read books at all. No, I don't say that. I say, I don't read many books. I have some discussions with my son who reads more books than me. But then I think about it and I'm like, well, I'm not counting in all the reading I do in my work as a novelist. So it's like, yeah, I read a lot of books, but it's like, I tend to think about reading outside of work in a sense. But anyway, reading is important. And if you look at the statistics, it really does look like the same demographic groups that are now being swallowed up or have already been swallowed up by the dogmatic Christians out there, the evangelists, the Christian nationals and nationalists, and those people. The same demographic is the demographic that they don't read. They don't read. They're on social media, but they read stuff, I guess, on Facebook, but they don't read books. And that's a problem because when you don't read, you it's difficult to get perspectives on things. For instance, you know, if you look at Christian mythology, it's not. Listen, what the mythology in the Bible, a lot of that comes from other sources, other mythologies, because it didn't just come about in a vacuum, right? It's the same as with the Norse gods, right? They were most likely inspired by Roman gods. Not all of them, and not entirely, but it seems likely. There are similarities, and of course, you had the fall of the Roman Empire, you had the migration period, and all of that led into the Viking Age here in Scandinavia, Northern Europe, and that was a very brief history lesson there. But I'm just saying that there is nothing unique with that. You see that all over the place. Um, these things, these mythologies, they they don't happen in a vacuum. It, they all come from somewhere, and they're inspired by stories, old stories about heroes and all of that, and probably people, travelers, they told stories from their home country, their culture around the campfire, and those stories were told and retold up through the generations, and those stories tend to become myths. So I think that there is another important aspect when it comes to the whole rapture thing. There are people out there, which I was shocked, as I said. I wrote that community post. It was a bit funny because I mean, it's it's not like it's not the first time, and these cults they tend to have like, oh, we're going to be beamed up on this date and all of that. So I thought I would make a little bit of a joke about that, but no, no, this is not funny. Some people found it to be very not funny at all. Uh, and yes, they disagreed about the date because you kind of have to, at least when you're past that date. But the rapture itself, someone said, no man knows the date. Another one said, it says it will come as a thief in the night. Now, this is the problem, right? When you and this, I'm not talking about Christians in general because I honestly don't think Christians in general truly believe in the rapture. I don't think so. Well, I might be wrong there, but I hope they don't. Because what what seems to be the mechanism here, as I had it described by someone who knows this thing very well. So what happens is that you have people who believe in the myth of the rapture. And when you truly believe in that, your life here on earth doesn't matter as much anymore. So that enables you to tolerate suffering. It enables you to tolerate disappointments. Maybe your dreams were not fulfilled here in your life at all because you will be beamed up to heaven at some point. So that must be if you manage to believe in such a thing, it must be a comforting idea. Um, there is a even more dark aspect of this. Now, there are people who call themselves Christians who, first of all, they do believe in the rapture, and they have kind of expanded the whole idea a little bit. Yeah. So the consequences is that your earthly life doesn't matter so much anymore. So why would we even protect the earth, the climate, nature? What's the point? It becomes a very passive way to view life and your surroundings and your world, your universe. Excuse my pronunciation. I'm trying to say that your world. Yes. Um, we are getting some of these people here in the chat. Um, we I don't know why. I mean, Christians also are welcome here, but I really don't get why they never stop repeating the same things. Um, you can add to the whole thing this idea of now we're talking American Christian nationalism. This idea of creating an Israel in the USA, which is I don't know what to say, but uh, the connection between the USA and Israel is a topic for another video or live stream, I guess. I won't get into that so much here in this live stream. And I know how it works here on YouTube. Um, I make a point out of not mispronouncing the first part of that name. When I criticize Israel, um, I tend to get in trouble here on YouTube. Why is that, YouTube? Why is that? It's such a big fucking mystery, isn't it? So yeah, reading, studying, it's so important because it exercises your ability, your it exercises your ability to practice critical thinking. And I will say this: if you truly believe in the rapture, you do not exercise critical thinking. I'm sorry, but you don't. You don't. So yeah, um, that's what I wanted to say. With dread, I am now going to look at the chat. Thank you, Lima Bean. No, uh, hold on. Uh, no, where is it? Oh, Nayland. Yeah, talking about history. I do that on my main channel, linked to in the video description. You know that secret area of YouTube, the video description. Uh, Alexander says all of European and American society has been built on Christianity for 1,000 years. It is our ancestral heritage. It has shaped Europe and USA for shaped us. No, that's not true. Um, Christianity is a recent thing in Europe, um, and there's a lot to be said about that. But it really isn't true. It's like Norway, for instance. has been a Christian nation. It's not a Christian nation now, but it was a Christian nation from on paper. Well, I can't say on paper, but because that wasn't a thing. But for about 800, maybe 900 years, so it's a recent thing. Um, you have a history going back thousands of years before that. Uh, the Germanic tribes were not Christian, and yeah. So I'll try to be a little bit quick here. RA say it's a control of the poor. Be satisfied with your lot in life. Don't do anything to take my stuff. You'll be ordered online. Trust me. Yeah, it is. Again, I said this many times, but yeah. Sorry, being distracted here. I've said this many times. I'll try to move my car. Sorry about that. I'm not really criticizing Christianity. It's a form of Christianity that makes you believe in crazy stuff. That's what I'm criticizing. Okay, and I'm criticizing that because I truly want to help people, and maybe someone out there will think twice before believing in crazy stuff. Okay. Um, let's see. Wow, Diana says I worked with emergency prep agencies. We trained to deal with the mental and emotional stress from rapturists, realizing they weren't being taken away. Um, so yeah, oh, you have to laugh. um, so yeah, well, Kahina says that American evangelism is to me a heresy. Bad one at that. Also being spread back to Europe, of course, into places like Africa and Asia too. Yeah, I would assume it is heresy actually, because it seems to go against the teachings of Jesus. Uh, Nero, wow, thank you so much. That's incredibly kind of you. Thank you, thank you so much. Um, what can I say? Um, the whole community are very grateful. Thank you. YouTube being YouTube now, especially here on this smaller channel, um, it's like I'm hardly making any money from these live streams, like the ad revenue and all of that. Uh, so let's see here. That's amazing. Thank you. You're saying we are one in this fight. Yeah. I think you can't shame people, and maybe I've been kind of guilty in that. But you can't you can't shame people if you want people to start to practice critical thinking, to start reading. You really can't because it needs to be. I mean, they just go away, you know. Um, so you have to kind of. I don't know. I don't know, but uh, I, the best way to think about it that I have come up with is that it really is about being curious, about how the world has become what it is today. That's his history. I'm very interested in history, but also mythology. Mythology is you can go and study mythology in a university or on your own, of course. And now I live in a country where the public university is for free, which is a great thing. That's one thing I very much would like to pay taxes for, so that everyone can have a chance, no matter your financial background, to go to university. But you don't have to go to university, of course. You can just pick up some books at your local library. It doesn't cost you a thing, and start studying. What about Egyptian mythology? What about Sumerian mythology? If you read two books, one for each, um, suddenly you start to see the dots, and the connection between the dots, And again, it doesn't take anything away from Christianity. It just tells you that these old myths are myths from a different time, but they all, well, not all, but most of them come from somewhere else, and mm, it was all mixed up, and it didn't come about in a vacuum. Again, it doesn't take anything away from anyone's faith, but it might remove people from, dare I say, dangerous ideas like the rapture. You know, don't get me wrong. I too, I also. What's the correct grammar? I also want that when I die, I come to somewhere which is a nice place, and I will meet my deceased friends and family, and especially deceased dogs. I want that. So it's like, but I don't know if that will happen. I don't know, you know. So, but anyway, um, I'm going to, as they say, I'm in that age now where I have to turn down the sound in the car when I park the car. What about, yeah? I bought this at the gas station, very cheap. Nero says maybe enlightenment and compassion is the new religion. I really hope that. I really hope that. Hello from Rom- Romania, says Alex. Lima Bin says, old man. Yeah, thank you. Um, so, uh, let's see. Let's see here. KP Eden says, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Yeah, that would be wonderful. Um, Rob is asking, did you get your lifting in today? Actually, I'm postponing it until tomorrow. Um, I have my reasons. Jim says I love big women, so if there are any big women here, you know who to contact. um, Getting some questions here about cutting out caffeine. Uh, I will respond to that, and then, but before that, I will respond to Tina. How's it seeing many riots in Europe and here in Australia? It's a very rural place. And the people who live here are quite wealthy. It's a monocultural place, and you won't see any riots here. Um, yeah. Now, yeah, I have cut out caffeine almost. I'm saying almost because I am doing the last few days of the last editing round on my new novel, and I just thought a deadline is on Monday, so I thought, okay, I'll drink Coca-Cola a little bit because it has a little bit of caffeine, not much, but a little bit. But that will be gone too from Tuesday next week, and I don't miss it at all. I actually, what seems to be the case is that I sleep better and I feel more energized, more, more energized. Um, and yeah, it just feels great. Um, and now that I know all the things that caffeine is doing to your body, I'll never drink caffeine again after I quit Coca-Cola. Um, so, so it's like, no, yeah, I feel great, but I did it gradually in a matter of I think 2 weeks. I was going to spend 4 weeks, but I did it in 2 weeks, um, and I don't miss it. I don't miss it. And by the way, it is not true that energy drinks is poison and coffee is healthy. None of them are good for you. None of them are good for you. Caffeine, caffeine a antioxidant, says Vern. I will say that if that's where you get your caffeine, that's where you get your antioxidants. You need to tidy up your diet. Um, that in a, speaking not to you necessarily, but in a general sense. Um, and sugar is not nearly as bad as caffeine. Um, so okay. Let's see. I'm not shaming anyone for drinking coffee. That's not what I'm saying. But it's not like it is not good, even though and they hide lots of these facts. They hide them. Um, so yeah, Nathan, yeah, you drank tea instead of coffee. It doesn't count, absolutely. But it's, I mean, I'm not going to tell you anyone what to do. I'm just saying that it's good, you know. Um, you won't get the energy crashes. You won't get, yeah. Another thing I noticed, I sleep longer, and now I can remember dreams again. that means that I'm getting more deep sleep. So, which we absolutely need. um, so yes, okay. Um, Tina's 10 year. My 10-year likes to do push-ups and stay fit. How to start him on weights, kettlebell, or just body weight exercises. I would say uh, lifting weights for a 10-year-old is it's not dangerous, but it shouldn't be heavy. So it needs to be supervised. It needs to be supervised. That's important because they're not ready for heavy weights yet. But moving some weights for 10-year-olds, that's fine. We used to say that it was dangerous, but it's not. But it needs to be supervised. Uh, needs to be like play, like light weights, you know. And by the way, when you we let these 10-year-olds run around and play sports like football. In America, they say soccer. So I think we should call American football hand egg. Yeah, hand egg. Um, I can't really give detailed information or um, about how to train a 10-year-old here in this live stream, but try to get a personal trainer, something like that, educated in training kids that age. Yeah. Um, yeah. So when people like they jump and they land on a hard surface, that is probably much worse for your knees and so on as a 10-year-old than lifting some weights, doing some squats. You know. Yeah. What I think about handing, I don't know. I've seen it on the TV sometimes. I have no idea what they're doing. They're just running around with that odd shaped ball, that big egg. I don't know. What are they doing? Um, but okay. You know, there's going to be many angry people in the comment section here. Many angry people, and you know what? I'm just happy that I live in an age where I can say what I'm saying without being accused of heresy. Well, I might be accused of it, but um, there won't be people coming to my house with pitchforks and torches. You know, well, not for that reason at least. Um, so yeah, um, Samir says F the haters. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. They haters will hate. They it makes them feel good about themselves. Um, so yeah, that's just how it is. Again, this is not a criticism of Christianity. It's it's a criticism of taking old mythology uh, as as fact. It's like if I told you that, listen, did you know the sky is actually the skull of an ice giant, Ymir? Did you know that? And don't you dare question that. You would think I was a bit crazy. So I'm not going to say that, and I do not believe that. But that's part of the Norse creation myth, right? So Yeah, that's Norwegian lips, huh? Nothing more Norwegian than that. Yeah. Gotta have some guilty pleasures. So yeah, lips. That's very Norwegian. Everyone in the USA have heard about lips. Um, yeah, they it's flat like this, and it's sweet. It's like butter and sugar and cinnamon inside. You would like it probably. So yeah. um. So um. Okay. Let's end the live stream there, and um, yeah. Hope you have a wonderful day. I'll do like this. Alright, it's big here in Minnesota. I can imagine the people in Minnesota are more Norwegian than Norwegians. Okay, have a wonderful day. I'll see you all of a sudden. Let's see. How do I stop this?